I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:03 PM. This is a special meeting for Tuesday, April 24th, 2025, for a budget public hearing in Willow Community Hall. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
We are expecting Assemblymember Hale, and we're not sure about Stephanie Nowers. We're not expecting Assemblymember McKee. Maxwell Subner,
Present.
Bill Gamble,
Here.
Dimitri Fonoff,
Here.
Ron Bernier.
Present.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Okay. Are there any changes to the agenda? Oh, let the record show that Assemblyperson Nowers has arrived. Is there any changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing and hearing none, and the agenda is as presented. And if you all, let's see, all stand for the pledge. And Assemblyperson Nowers, since you're the last one, we'll give you the honor.
To the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a sign-up sheet for audience participation? Do we have a sign-up sheet for audience participation? Oh, we do, and it's here. Okay, good. So we will call on the people that signed up first, but then we will give an opportunity for anyone else that would like to testify or give some input to the assembly. Jim Houston.
I always wanted to be first at something.
Okay, well, put it on the mic so everybody can hear.
Push that button on the
If you-
mic.
Green.
There you go.
Okay, you have me on board now. We have a project in mind here for the community center and the seniors center that's right next door. And we've done a bit of work really planning it and working out all the bugs that you might find in it. We have a certified engineer that's worked with us to draw a drawing. Right behind the people here at the front is a drawing of a oval shape at this end of the building. We have a problem where the seniors cannot get over to the community center here very well. Down in the bottom left-hand side, they have a gate. They have a concrete pathway that leads up to a gate. And we've never done anything on our side of the walkway, would-be walkway. But if we are able to spend a little bit of money and make that oval going east and then over to the library, we could gain ADA access in the back doors that don't have access now because of different problems. There's a step up on the concrete from the lawn that they can't get on, and that the other place, there is a 20 where there are 1-inch rocks with no compaction. It's almost like a trap for any baby strollers or wheelchairs, and a great difficulty for elders and anyone else, even the youngsters. That has been such a problem that it should have been paved or concreted from the building over to the pavement. But now we want to replace that with concrete because the rocks and snow blowers do. We've spent all this winter $500 on windows when a volunteer didn't know that a rock could go that far. The snow that he's seeing drops off fast, but the windows were broken and had to be replaced. But the lack of fire exit and entrance to the buildings is a real problem. And I want to say that this letter came from Joe Metzger from the Community Development Department, and it kind of speaks for it. A paved walkway connecting the senior center to Rosalie White Community Center seems like it would be a good addition to the property.
Go ahead.
And I have another speaker right
Okay.
behind me. The connector trail would add connectivity between the senior and community center and would provide a safe pathway to access the community center and library. Beneficial to, also the part of the project is to reconfigure the ditch out here that wasn't needed. We've never had a water problem there, but now we have a deep safety hazard next to the basketball court. Rodney, would you like to say things about that?
Okay, Rodney, you're up next.
Madam Mayor, board members. I just want to stand and second what Jim has said that is needed back there. And I will tattle on myself, for I am the volunteer that did not know that there were rocks under there. And, had the mishap with the windows. But these are things that we worry about here because we do have a lot of volunteers and they hazards are. It would also, by doing this, greatly improve what we call the backyard, make it more accessible to folks, because whenever we do have an event out there, because of our giant ditch in the middle, it's like the two halves shall never meet. It makes it difficult when we do have an event, especially like a big one like our Iditarod, because all the snow gets piled up by the ditch. You have people who are trying to do events on either side, and again, they don't want to meet. This would help with the ADA compliance, would help in the safety at this building, because as anyone can tell you, if something happens out in the front parking lot where our propane tanks are and most of our flammables are, if we have to go out the back door and there's somebody with a walker or a wheelchair, it might get a little ugly, and we don't want that. It would also clear up a lot of the tripping hazards out in the back. For the folks next door at the senior housing, it would greatly help them, because now for those who can't drive during the winter, if they want to come here, they have to call Sunshine. Sunshine has to get a bus to come over and pick them up, bring them literally around the corner, drop them off here, and then when they want to go home, they have to do the same thing in reverse. With this path, it's a 15-minute walk, depending on their mobility, if not less. We have homeschool families who use this area on Thursdays. They use it as their playground, their activity area. This now makes it an easier walking path for them in the back, keeps their children out of the parking lot, and keeps everyone safe. So I do thank you for your time, and we'll respect your time, and that you please listen to Joe. And one last thing I will put there. Jim has done a lot of prep work on this and has come down to where the budget that we have for this is bare bones, and we will keep it tight. And so it's not a lot of money out of, our pockets.
Sure. Oh, no, we can't have interaction. I'm sorry.
I'm
Rodney,
going to yield the rest of my time to Jim.
okay. Rodney, would you speak? I addressed you, but you need to say your name for the record, please. Yeah.
Rodney McCambridge.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Go ahead,
since this project was estimated at $75,000 to $100,000, but that is about 10 times as much as what it needs to cost because of our friendship with a major construction company that's offered to put down the asphalt in place for us for free. And
Wow,
we're
good.
dealing on that, but also through other contributions like Ron Bernier. Would you like to say what you've offered?
I was going to volunteer my concrete labor and pour the concrete for free.
Okay. All right.
And our contributions so far by certified engineer and drawings is represents a lot of time and money also that won't need to be spent.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Jim Fakes? So ma'am, I think you got your answer. Hi.
You know, it's really nice to be here, and I really appreciate those of you that serve on the assembly, because I know it takes a lot of time, and I just appreciate that. It's not something I want to do, but I do appreciate the time you spend. Late last summer, I was at the front lawn of the church in Big Lake on Hollywood Road talking to some of my friends, and was notified that there's a ditch was going to be built in front of our lawn. And then from there, a pipe was going to be installed, and it was going to run all the way to Jolly Creek because of a water overflow problem. Larry, you've got the handout. As it turns out, Lake Lucille drains all the way to Big Lake, and it changes names when it gets right near Big Lake, right by the dump. It becomes
Yeah.
Jolly Creek, and it becomes Meadow Creek in the Big Lake. The area where the water is going to dump that's planned into Jordan Lake Park is an old gravel pit that was abandoned 45 years ago, and the library was built adjacent to it. So this gravel pit, with, as you'll see from the aerial photos there, had roughly over 100 loads of debris that has been stacked in there over the years. But 22 years ago, we decided in Big Lake, and the borough approved a comprehensive plan which called for this area to be rehabilitated from this old abandoned gravel pit into a grassy park. And a whole generation's gone by and not had a park to play in Big Lake, including my children. Now, how much water are we talking about that they're going to dump into the gravel pit that's all, into these dump piles? Well, it varies every year. It's a drainage thing. It's between 0 and 98,833 gallons an hour is going to be dumped into the park. So we as a community decided we just need to do something about that before this happens. We worked with Hugh Leslie at the borough. He says funds aren't available to do anything. So we took it upon ourselves as a community, and we submitted a CIP for $52,000 to improve the park, but no money would be available for some time. Jolly Creek also offered a possibility of us getting fill material to help improve the park. So we went ahead on our own as a community, and we've raised at this point $37,000, over 40 people and a number of businesses. Everybody's chipping in. However, $10,000 of dollars were earmarked for a fence, the continuation of the split rail fences by the library to keep people. And another $5,000 from Rotary is earmarked for, I'm sorry, I went too long. The $5,000 for Rotary is earmarked for playground equipment, which we would have to come later. So we've raised 70% of the $52,000 we're requesting, and we just hope that you would consider rewarding the community for the amount of effort that we've done ourselves. And I think it would be a good message to other communities, for people who want projects funded, to raise a lot of it yourself. That's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Jim, would you state your name for the record?
My name, Jose Manas. You guys remember that?
Well, I know you
But
very
I'm
well,
sorry,
but somebody
yes.
trying to
No,
listen
my
to you.
name, my name is Jim Fakes.
Thank you.
I moved to Big Lake 40 years ago this month, and it was the coldest month on record, and we built our house. So that's, yes, Jim Fakes, and I live in Big Lake.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, Larry?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Larry McKinstry. I'm a volunteer with the Jordan Lake Park Development Committee. It's part of the Big Lake Community Council. And as Jim was saying, he's given you a good history of the park to date and what has gone on in terms of our fundraising and whatnot. So I don't want to be redundant and cover the same ground. I'd ask you to consider the following points when you look at the capital budget in the fiscal year 2026 CIP list. The first thing is that Big Lake, according to the recent data, is the fastest growing residential area in the state. And I know that for a fact because I moved into Big Lake 2 years ago. And when I moved in, I was the only new house on my street. Since that time, there have been 6 new houses built. And yesterday, they started on the second foundation across the street from me. So there are 2 houses going in this year already. So I know things are growing, and everywhere I drive in Big Lake, I see brand new foundations going in and new houses being built. So the reason that I raise that is the fact that because we're growing so fast, there's obviously going to be a demand, more demand for services. There's going to be a need for the infrastructure to be grown. And Jordan Lake Park has been waiting for 22 years to be built, and it's going to be something that would be a core central area for people to enjoy. And we need it for our kids, we need it for our families, and we need it to bring the community together. Big Lake doesn't have taxing authority because it's not a city or a borough. And so we have to rely on the borough funds or other sources of revenue to do the public facilities that we ask or we try to build in the community. As Jim said, you know, we put in a capital improvement project request for $52,000. It was ranked number 2 priority by the Planning Commission. It was passed unanimously by the Big Lake Community Council as an item to be funded. The number 1 priority on the Big Lake or on the borough capital improvement list is a bike path along Hollywood Road in Big Lake. That project, for reasons because of lack of access and lack of easements, isn't going to be done this year. So that frees up about $98,000 that might be available for other projects. So the number 2 priority, which is Jordan Lake Park, the clearing and seeding of the park, should be, you know, in our minds, which should raise that up to the number 1 priority. We've raised $37,000 in donations, and I would like to say that $7,500 of that $37,000 has come out of the pockets of people on our committee, from family members, from friends, from people that we know. So we've stepped up to try to get the community involved, and we have. Big Lake's community, the residential community, is 3,300 people, and we've raised $37,000 in donations in about 4 months' time. So, you know, the community has shown its support for the park. Should the borough decide not to fund this, the impact would be, first of all, the delay would mean we wouldn't be able to seed. We've got the money to start the clearing. We've done about half of it. We have some money left in our funds to complete the clearing, but we still need $26,000 or more to do the hydro seeding for the grass. And hopefully we have enough to do the clearing first. So, but should the borough decide not to fund it, there are two real impacts. One is we lose the momentum that we've got now. We've really got the community behind us, and we're really starting to generate funds and work on the project, because we're getting calls from funding agents and people with interest in getting the park done. And they're reaching out to us and saying, hey, come to us looking for funds. We want to fund this. So down the line, there are a lot of parts of this project that we're going to need funding for. The second thing, and we would lose that momentum and we lose that opportunity for those funds. The other thing is that we've we put in for two grants, two foundation grants, one to the Rasmussen Foundation and one to MEA. And the Rasmussen Foundation denied us the grant money because they said they didn't see any visible support by the borough. And this is a borough park, and there should be at least initially some support from the borough for the actual funding of the park. And so that's why they denied it. They said, come back to us when you get some borough funding and we'll reconsider. So with that, I hope that the Assembly will look upon the CIP request favorably.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Larry, Noreen?
This-
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Larry Noreen, Nancy Lake, here on a very small budget item, if a budget item at all, but nonetheless important. And it has to do with the hazardous beetle kill that is a problem for many places, not just Nancy Lake. However, the woodlot isn't slated to be open till June 1. And the fire season, and we now have a burn ban early, is in the spring. It's not in the fall. And I would appreciate it if the woodlot could be opened as soon as practical. I spoke with the transfer station operators, and they said it's still a little mushy, but I would have to get to push it along to change the schedule. They're not authorized to do it. I deem it as very important. It should be a serious fire prevention issue because it's a serious problem, and I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Larry. Bill Heller?
Hello, everybody. I think most of you have met me before. I'm Bill Heller. I'm with the Big Lake Lions Club in Big Lake. And I wanted to come and address you a little bit. The Lions Club 15 years ago took on a project in the Big Lake community, and we raised $800,000 in the Big Lake community itself. And then we raised an additional $2.8 million through grants and stuff. And we built the Big Lake Lions Recreation Center in Big Lake. And we have been operating it pretty much as a volunteer organization for the last 15 years. It was built in 2 phases. All the legalities of it are done, all the fire suppression systems, everything. And it operates a seasonal hockey rink in the winter. In the summer, they do pickleball and miniature golf all summer long. We do RC car races. We do weddings, funerals. It's become the cornerstone of Big Lake. It really has. Meetings are there. There's been AA meetings there, Girl Scout meetings, Boy Scout meetings. It is integral to being the community center. And I have volunteered to run it for 15 years. I'm leaving state in July. And there is nobody in the Big Lake community that is to run it. And so we have about $400,000 in debt. We've offered it to the borough to take over for that debt. It's a $4 million facility according to your borough assessor. It's a pretty good deal for you guys as far as I can see. You know, it's just all the Lions Club is pretty much burned out from running it. And the majority of our volunteers are in their 70s and 80s. You know, volunteer age group is not young. And so it really is important for this community of Big Lake to continue to have its community center. And I want to keep in, I also want to put out there that the Big Lake Lions this isn't the first time we've done something like this. The Big Lake Library was originally built by the Big Lake Lions, and then it was turned over to the borough after substantial need was presented, and then they built the new Big Lake Library. The Big Lake Airport was built by the Big Lake Lions, and then it was given to the state of Alaska, and now it's operated by the state of Alaska. the Big Lake Lions built the park that's adjacent to the elementary school originally and was given to the borough, and now that's the park that is adjacent to the school. So I mean, it's not the first time the borough has received the benefit of the work of the community of Big Lake. And one last thing that I'd like to put out there is that the other side of the borough seems to have a lot more services than our side of the borough in Big Lake. You guys have swimming pools and hockey rinks with refrigeration, and the borough gives services regularly to those communities. And we've kind of proven in Big Lake that we'll help you build them, we'll get them up there, but we do need help maintaining and operating them. And I really, hope you guys approve the takeover of the Big Lake Recreation Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike?
Good evening. My name is Mike Cloudwater. I live in the Willow area, and I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your unanimous vote for approval on Lynx Lake Road and getting it on the RIP list and some capital funding for that. So just wanted to that effort and just reiterate that, 132 residents, taxpayers of the borough utilize that road. It's a key fire corridor identified by both state and local forestry fires as well. And the borough does have close to 2,000 acres and 4 large parcels, which short of a helicopter is the only way to get to those parcels, and may provide some future development borough property as well. So I just want to take a moment to thank unanimous vote several meetings back, and appreciate all your efforts you do for the borough. Thank you.
Brenda McCain? McCain?
My name is Brenda McCain, and I live here in Willow, and I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight. I would like to share my experiences with our wonderful library staff and our library association. Willow Public Library is truly the heart of our community. It was built. Many dedicated community members, along with the Borough Assembly, worked hard in raising the funds for it. It serves all ages, with activities including preschool story time, summer reading programs, very popular after-school mentoring program, teen study area, teen chess club, several book clubs, fiber arts group, educational presentations for the community, and much more. That's just a tip of the iceberg. They host the Holiday Festival of Trees, where more than 30 community groups, families, churches, businesses have trees in the library for a month, and it culminates with a party at the end. Solstice Run around Willow Lake, carnival photography contest, and a fun run in the spring. They help people that are not proficient in computer use accomplish tasks that require those skills. They are the best source of information in the community for residents and visitors alike. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are looking for. The Willow Library staff will work to find it for you. They've helped me lots of times. We are so fortunate to have such a beautiful facility with such a warm, capable, dedicated staff. It breaks my heart and literally makes me sick when I listen to the Borough Assembly meetings and hear the same people repeatedly come to the assembly meetings and tear apart librarians. I personally treasure our library staff for how much they enrich our community for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ready, that completes our sign-up sheet, but if there's anyone else that would like to address the assembly on any issue, you're welcome to come forth. Come on.
Yes, my name is Patty Fisher. I'm in Meadow Lakes, and I want to support what Mr. Haller said about the Lions Club. And I strongly urge you to acquire that facility. I'm involved heavily in a facility, a recreation facility in Meadow Lakes. And when we talk about the north part of the valley, we say, well, there's nothing between Meadow Lakes and Willow. And it's very true. There's a lot of facilities over to, but there needs to be more. And the Lions Club facility would be a great addition to Big Lake. If you have libraries, recreation facilities, parks, it enhances the community. More people come, you get more tax dollars. So I strongly urge you to look at it from the point of view that you can pay for that. One way or the other, you'll find a way. I strongly urge you to support the acquisition of that facility.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mhm.
Let's see, is this right? Good evening, Mayor and Assembly. Thank you for being here. I don't have a real good understanding how the budget's put together as far as how much is already decided and you're getting some public input now, or if this public input still has a bearing on it. I'm really not sure how that all works. But we are living in a little different than we have in the past. We've got executive orders that have come out from our President Trump. And one of them is on the DEI and the LBG and all those terminologies. And before we fully fund anything, such as the libraries, I hope that you've made sure stuff, material has been purged from them, because you do take federal money or grants sometimes. So I would assume you fall under that to follow that. And I know the borough's looked into some of that a while back, but I'm just asking, since this is a budget item, before you approve that, make sure that any of that stuff has been purged from that. The next thing is, government needs to live within its means, just like we have. I don't know if you're proposing increase in taxes or a decrease. Are you going to cut the budget? Where are we at? Look at how much each person's property, the valuation's gone up. That's got to bring in quite a bit more revenue than it was when the valuations were lower. Are we going to add tax beyond what those valuations have brought in? It's just something, I just don't see how we can provide everything for everybody all the time. I appreciate the folks that have commented on the Lions Club. They've done an immense amount of work there. And I'm not against that in any way, just like I'm not against closing any libraries. I probably should state that. People think I'm against that. I'm not. And I'm not against the work that these people have done. But that's a big, big ask. That should be on the ballot for people to vote on. Let the taxpayers vote on that, because once we own it, it's never going to go away. And there's initial costs when you get them out of debt or whatever. But what's the things for the next 10 years? How much cost is that going to be? Like I said, I'm not against it, but the people should have a say-so and be able to vote on it. We shouldn't put something that's never going to go away. I don't know if I got accurate information, but I was given that the borough has roughly about 80 buildings in this whole borough that they have maintenance on or are part of. I know some of it's schools and fire stations and community centers, but that's a big building to take on. They can't seem to get any private company to buy it. So just how about the voters voting on it and let the voters decide? Thank you.
Mark, will you state your name, please,
I'm
for the
sorry,
record?
Mark Spoon.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Elizabeth Villalobos, and I live here in Willow. I do have a couple of things that have been on my thoughts, and One of them is I have a part-time job working in a medical clinic, and we serve the community here. And some of the things that really disturb me is when we have a patient that might have a need, having oxygen provided at their homes. We set up all the paperwork so that it can be approved through Medicare or whatever medical insurances the patient may have. But everything comes to a halt because there's no electrical power, and it's not safe to have oxygen in a patient's home with the generator. And so as you drive further down toward Talkeetna or those areas, many of those people don't have the money to buy or to install the power grids that they need to have electricity so that they can have oxygen. So some of those things are, I wonder why the borough isn't looking into, you see, I don't know how things work. All I know is there are a lot of people up here that don't use computers. They don't use all these technical things that a lot of this budget that I listened to a couple of weeks ago, all it was about improving IT, getting better offices, things like that. I didn't hear anything that made me feel like, wow, Alaskans are going to be taken care of in these areas. There's a lot of people up here that have, they don't have electricity, running water. They can't afford those kind of things. So I don't know, this budget that I listened to, I was online, and I heard all these people come and say, well, we're going to build this, we're going to improve our computer services. I just think that it's a waste of money. I mean, I know we need to improve our communications, but for me, I see the fire department as it needs improvement. They need more, what they need to provide the services in the times that we need, the first responders. But also we need more electricity, or we need some way for individuals to be able to have oxygen if they need it, but they can't because they don't have electrical. They can't use a generator. It's not approved for that. So those are things that and also we don't have any very much recreations. I know this community center was built, but it seems now that we have this facility, it seems like it's been more restricted. It's not as free to use. And I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for coming up here, taking the time. God bless each and every one of you as you decide for our community what is important. And I hope we get lots of funds so we can take care of those vulnerable people. Okay?
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Mayor and Assembly. Thanks for being here. Brian Greenair, resident of Willow. Speaking to a resolution that the city of Houston is attempting to pass regarding a municipal airport. They're looking to acquire quite a bit of tract of land from the Willow area. And just want to be making aware here that the Willow Area Community Organization is firmly resolved against any and opposes any land acquisitions of Willow property.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. Thank you for being here all. My name is Mark Gowdy. I'm a resident of Willow also, and coming in behind Brian Grenier basically over the same issue. I've been going to Houston's airport, well, the council meetings first and their airport committee meetings since last summer. And they've been pushing for an airport project using two sections of Willow land south of Lynx Lake Road and west of Houston and Little Houston Lake. And we went to the Borough Building, my wife and I, a week or two ago to find out if it's possible for you guys to approve that project over and above the wishes of the residents. It is in theory possible. I'm here to request that you guys do not do that without the approval of Willow residents. They're pushing pretty hard for it. They are trying to put it up for a vote to the residents of Houston. It's just, just hopeful that won't be done over and above, basically they're talking about annexing 2 sections in Willow. I just hope you folks won't approve that, at least not without residents of Willow approval. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Karen Crandall, and I'm a Big Lake resident. So I work with applauding Bill Gamble for upholding us as a community. And I just wanted to just put in a blurb for the Jordan Lake Park and the Jolly Creek project. And I think it's going to be very wonderful to be able to see it expand. I've been working in the park system for 14 years, volunteer, everything is volunteer. But it's really worthwhile. We've seen the borough really help to make the park less violent. I mean, it's been a place to hide out and do drugs. And I've worked with the librarian, Joe Cassidy, for years and tried to see the park be a place where it's safe for families to come to. It's kind of a nature center. And so I'm hoping, working with the library system, that we can get books that are dealing with nature and studies of wildlife and how to develop our communities, and have books that really are conducive to learning, that would be helpful to mankind and to the development of just family. And so I'm hoping that we can get the $52,000 to help with developing the whole system, because we're hoping to get more and more grants, develop our nature trails, connecting with the nature around the lake, Jordan Lake. I've been planting flowers, and that's gone, we've gotten a lot of support from a lot of women that put in planters all along the road system to make it a more beautiful community. So we have plans to just continue to develop gardens, do pickleball, soccer field, nature trails, and I think it'll be a great project, and even an amphitheater, and connecting with groups that can come and play music, just like what happens in the Wasilla Wonderland Park system. I think I talked to Make a Scene yesterday and found out that a lot of musicians call in. They want to have places to do concerts. And so that's one of our plans, is to have an amphitheater and have people come and have a good quality music. So there's just so much that we can do to make the community better, to have vendors and systems of selling all kinds of vegetables. So there's just a lot of thought that has gone into this, and I think it's going to break our community, or bring our community into a better place of family and togetherness. And that should be the goal with our whole borough and with our state. So I just wanted to share that. And plus, I have a friend that put in a beautiful sculpture. So I'm hoping to develop some art in the park with different types of things that people can come and enjoy, sculpture and different things. We have so many plans, so I hope that you'll work with us.
Thanks, Karen. Anyone else? Don't see much movement out there. I want to give you, don't be shy, come tell us what's on your heart. Okay. All righty. Do I see some movement back there? No? Okay. So I'll go ahead and close audience participation. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing Madam Clerk?
Ordinance serial number 25-025, an ordinance appropriating monies from the central treasury for the borough operating funds, enterprise funds, education operating fund, and capital funds, establishing the rate of levy for all borough functions for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026, and setting the surcharge rate for the wireline and wireless enhanced 911 systems for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026.
I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, and the testimony at this time should just pertain to that ordinance, which is the budget ordinance, okay? And we do. Sid Burtz?
Okay, my name is Sid Burtz, and I'm here representing the Willow Library Association tonight. I'm a member of the association, and first of all, I want to really thank Brenda McCain for the accolade that she just gave us. It was much nicer than the things I was going to get ready to say here, so she did a nice job. Anyway, Willow wants to thank you all for giving us this wonderful library we have out here. And it's a great borough facility. It's an asset to the community. And it's one of its highlights and most useful assets we have in our community. It is used by many individuals and groups throughout the week, providing us with information, relaxation, and a meeting place. It's divided into two parts, the main library and a meeting room that is highly utilized for various groups. So I want to speak towards the meeting room tonight. We have a sound problem in the meeting room. If you go in there, and especially with someone with me like hearing aids, it's like a group is meeting in a tin can. We can't hardly hear each other. And we have Zoom meetings, and the people, I've been on the other side on the Zoom talking in, and I cannot understand the people when they're talking back to me. It's just an echo in the room. So there is a way to fix it. And the acoustics is basically what we're going to be addressing on this. And so the Library Association, we took it upon ourselves to get a quote done because we thought maybe out of our budget, we could just, donate acoustic panels and have the thing fixed. But after the quote came in, we didn't have that much money. So now we're going to come to the borough and beg for a little money, we hope. But anyway, the Library Association had Elite Acoustics and Interiors come out and look at our problem and submit a quote. The problem can be cured with acoustic panels, but the price tag was more than our association could cover. We contacted Hugh Leslie with the borough, and he was on a Zoom call at our last borough meeting, so he heard our concerns and told us basically we needed to come here, ask the assembly for some extra money because it wasn't in the borough budget, to put the acoustic panels in. So basically, he's also working on a quote, but at the time of this meeting, he hasn't come up with a quote yet. But we told him what our quote was, and he said it was a ballpark quote. And so the quote from Elite was $19,200 for tectum and felt panels to be put throughout the room. And this did not include any special inspections or possible heating or electrical or lighting issues that we might have to deal with too. So we are approaching the assembly to see if we could add $25,000 to the Willow Library budget to improve the quality of the acoustics and make our meeting room more utilized. And so just want to thank you for your consideration and ask you if you got any questions about that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sid. Tom Phillips?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and staff and Borough Assembly members. My name is Tom Phillips. I am serving as a volunteer on RSA 20, the Greater Willow Road Service Area Advisory Board. And I would just like to have you take a good, serious look at the budgets for the RSAs. I also serve as the vice president of the big board for RSA meetings. And I can tell you right now that the biggest problem we have throughout the borough is our unmaintained roads. And they are unmaintained because we don't have enough money to fix them. And what I would like to suggest is that we float a borough bond for a lot of these unmaintained roads. And there, it's too big a list for me to go over here tonight, but that's what I think is the biggest issue we have with that RSAs, is our unmaintained roads. And one of them I have in my area right now is Lynx Lake Road. I know that there's $170,000 in a budget for that, for something, but I don't know it's particularly for that road. I've been trying to find that out by going to some of the staff, but I still haven't got a good answer what that $170,000 is for. But if it is targeted for Lynx Lake Road, I would appreciate getting that revenue to go in that direction. But other than that, the RSA 20 is in pretty good shape. Just say, take a look at what comes to your desk, and if there's something that needs some attention, please pay attention. And that's what I have for you. Thank you very much.
Anyone else would like to give the assembly input on the proposed budget? Okay. Don't see any movement. Deputy Mayor. Don't you, does he, did you give him a motion for?
I move to continue the public hearing on ordinance 25-025 to April 29th, 2025 in the assembly chambers.
Okay. Discussion on the motion to continue the public hearing till next Tuesday, the 29th of April. That meeting will be at Palmer in the chambers. And we will at that time have back the opportunity for you to call in. When we do these remote meetings, we don't have that opportunity, but you'll be able to listen online as well as to call in, or of course, come in person. So that'll be next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Any discussion by the, any objection by the assembly for the continuance of the public hearing? Seeing no objection, then the public hearing will continue. Parting comments, Cheyenne, parting comments? Miss Attorney, parting comments? No? Assembly Person Gamble, parting comments, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess my big takeaway from tonight is that everyone that came forward asking for some help from the borough has got skin in the game. You know, nobody's coming here tonight with just a handout. They've showed that as a community here in Willow, or Big Lake or Meadow Lakes, that the community is standing up. They're doing the majority of the legwork to get these projects going and funding them either with hard or soft money to get them up, you know, as far as they can. And they're just asking for a little help from the borough to get them finished off. And I just want to say for, you know, the Jordan Lake Park, because there's also the J. Nolfi Park in Big Lake, but Jordan Lake is much different than the J. Nolfi Park. The plans for that are to actually have a soccer field and have different activities than what the J. Nolfi Park offers. And it's right next to the Big Lake Library. So it's just an absolute beautiful location. And I know for Jordan Lake Park and for the Big Lake Lions Rec Center that there are other organizations that have offered to help fund these projects, and especially Jordan Lake Park and the Rec Center. But they want to see that the borough has a little skin in the game too. And once they do, then these private organizations are ready to step up and help fund these projects. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Clerks, parting comments?
I believe you guys have a letter provided by Ms. McKechnie about how we have one more public hearing next Tuesday, but then we enter into deliberations, and she provided some information on that, and she is back on Monday for questions.
Are you trying to get out of the questions? Yeah. Assemblyperson Fanoff, parting comments, sir?
No, thank you.
Assemblyperson Sumner, parting comments?
No comments.
Assemblyperson Nowers, parting comments?
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody turn out. We were in Wessel a couple days ago and we had no testimony on the budget. So go Willow. You've got a smaller population and percentage-wise, I think you win that. I always appreciate when people thank us, but I also think that we aren't really the ones to be thanked. It's the community. When we're doing these projects, it is the community that's paying for them. It's we push a button up here and we try to listen and do a good job and consider all the different things that people want, and also that people want us to keep a tight budget. So I appreciate being thanked, but I also feel like I didn't do it. You should thank your neighbors and especially thank the borough staff members that do the work, because we're not building the buildings. They're doing the plans and the projects, and we just we say, borough manager, can you make this happen? And it's really nice. It's like the easy button. I just wanted to say that you can kind of see the push and pull that we wrestle with up here tonight when you say, can you give us, money for a facility? We've worked hard to get it. And we've got money in there, as Assemblymember Gamble notes. And then you've got other people saying, why are my property taxes going up and I can't afford it? And do we need all these things? And so trying to balance that across a borough that is the size of West Virginia, and provide for the more remote areas like Willow, balance versus where more populated areas where Palmer and Wasilla is really a challenge. And for what it's worth, one thing that I look at is having a reasonable budget. So costs are going to go up, but we can't expect people to see costs go up by 10%, 20% a year. So there's no magic number. This year, I think we're looking at about a 3% increase in property taxes, and that is based on the average home. So last year, average home was $369,000. This coming year, it's $388,000. That person, they paid $4,000 in taxes last year. They're going to pay 3% more. I don't want it to go up 3%, but if we want all the things that we want in the community that people ask for, that's hard to accomplish and cut the budget at the same time without cutting services. I want to note in the budget we are going to be funding 3 school buildings is in the budget. We're adding at least 3 in fire rescue. And we've got lots of roads to fund too. So I don't want people to think that there isn't a lot and that there has been efforts to try to keep the lid on the cost as much as possible. And then lastly, the question about electricity. As somebody who has lived off-grid before, that's not a service that the borough provides. That's Matanuska Electric Association. This guy over here sits on the board. But if you want to get electricity extended, you've got to talk to the utility, or you can talk to Mr. Bernier about some options. And then I wanted to ask if somebody can, and I could do this offline too if it's better, but the Jolly Creek thing, I think that has come up before on the radar before. I'm astounded by the amount of water we're talking about going through there. And can somebody explain why that water is now being rerouted? Do we have some sort of development? Is it flooding a road? Why is it being channeled into the park?
Boy, there's a long history with Jolly Creek drainage. It's a historical riverbed that flows through the Hollywood area and on different occasions has actually flooded subdivisions. And the natural the water is to go through the Jordan Lake Park already. So it's not like they're creating a new path for the water. They're just trying to get the water to flow down a single pipe into the Jordan Lake drainage and then finally into Big Lake. So they're taking a flood zone that floods, occasionally and redirect the water down a different course or a defined course. So it will quit flooding subdivisions in the future and go through a natural drainage that it already does. They're just trying to make it happen a little better.
Okay, and do you know why, like, the subdivisions were built without thinking about the water coming in there? Is that kind of what happened?
Well, actually, I think it's Meadow Creek that years and years ago, some people say it was a utility that did it, but they put a man-made dike, if you will, into one of the creeks years and years ago. And so it caused the water to divert across into several subdivisions. And so to relieve the flooding in these subdivisions, they need to control the drainage. And we need to start at the end, which is at Jordan Lake Park, and work our way back up Hollywood into the Clutina subdivision, and the manager can probably explain this better than I can, or Tom Adams, but then all the way back over into another area where it all happens. If they started at the top, it would just make matters worse. So they're just trying to take a natural drainage and turn it into a man-made controlled drainage.
Thank you. I think I've heard about this. Animal Streets comes to mind, that we were trying to solve some flooding problems a couple of years ago.
And it's not just the Animal Streets, it's a subdivision that's actually on the other side of South Big Lake Road also that floods occasionally.
Okay, thank you.
Parting comments, Deputy Mayor?
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you for telling us your needs, things that we can do better in the future here. I just want to thank the Lord for everything you do, Lord, all the blessings, the hardships, the faith that we have to have in you, Lord, the grace that you provide. Please, Lord, give us wisdom, help our first responders, help our veterans, help those that are in need, Lord, the addicted, the broken. In Jesus' name we ask and pray. Amen.
Mr. Brown, parting comments, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. Just to remind the Assembly, we're 1 week out from starting deliberations. It is not too early to start talking about amendments. So if you have those, obviously it's easier for us as a staff to prepare those in advance. If you want them pre-filed, that's totally up to you. But Ms. Heindel and I are available to talk about any adjustments that you want to make. I've got a task list. I've got a list of items that we'll do some follow-up on and prepare for as we prepare for that first round of deliberations. But obviously, a little bit more time for us to craft it so we make sure we don't make any mistakes and we give you accurate amendments to consider. So if you have those, please reach out and let us know. That's all, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Does the assembly matter if I allow him to speak to us at this time?
Just for a moment. Again, my name is Ryder McCambridge. In case you don't know, I am the new vice chair for the Waco board. And I would personally like to invite you all to two things that we have coming up in May. The 17th and the 18th is our gun show that we'll be having here. And then on the 24th, we're going to be having a giant community yard sale. So if you have stuff you want to get rid of, bring it up. Or if there's something you can't live without, come and buy it. So just like to extend those invitations personally to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming out. And we've had an extra special helper this evening from the school district. And so Isaac, we thank you very much for being back there and keeping us grounded and everything moving correctly and efficiently. And so thank you very much for donating your time and helping set up, and you make it our staff's meetings and help much easier. So thank you, sir. So with that, what is that, 7:06, 7:07? 7:08? Oh, thank you. All right, so I will adjourn this meeting at 7:08 PM.